How was Wimbledon?
Awesome.
Was it your first time?
I'd been for London 2012, the tennis tournament for the Olympics was there.
Different, though.
Different, much different, especially for the final weekend. So
Right.
you're there for the semifinals and the finals. But it's a lot like Augusta National from the standpoint of when you walk through those doors, because of the history and the tradition and the way it's preserved, you really don't know if it's 1914 or 2014. It's really cool.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like tennis.
Yeah.
It's not my game. It's not my first choice, first love. But I guess the longer you watch, the more I think, one of these days I'm going to go and see what that's like.
It's just one of those places that you just want to go check out.
Yeah.
And
now you only went like last minute, huh?
Yeah, we took a red eye out Thursday. We arrived Friday just in time for the latter part of the Djokovic-Dimitrov semifinal, but just in time for the Raonic-Federer semifinal Friday. And then the Bouchard final Saturday, and then the men's final Sunday. The gentlemen's final Sunday.
Well, of course, and you watched Vasek Pospisil win a doubles championship.
Which was really cool, because so often with these things, it's about the story. And Pospisil and his partner Jack Sock had never played before. Pospisil's been dealing with a bad back, as you know, for the last 5 months. And 2 weeks before Wimbledon, he told Sock, there's a 70% chance I'm going to have to pull out. I don't even think I can play.
And he told Sock, if you want to get somebody else.
Right.
And Sock said, no.
Let's just do it. And 3 weeks later, they're champions.
I know. Vasek was on the show
I heard,
earlier this week, yeah.
Great kid.
And it's funny because he couldn't, it's like he couldn't get the smile off his face afterwards. And I'm listening to him on the phone. And I know he had a big smile on his face.
Right.
Like 3-4 days later, he's still smiling about it.
So after the press conference, he and Sock came in, and afterwards, they're doing a bunch of one-on-ones, and we're waiting in line to do ours. And Vasek's brother, Tom, comes over, and I've gotten to know his family over the last couple of years doing Davis Cup. So I said to Tom, how are things going? He said, well, I'm in a bit of trouble. I said, well, what happened? He said, I was supposed to go home 8 days ago. I didn't show up for my flight. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm like, well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. You have to book another flight. But his brother came. They started winning in doubles. He said, well, I guess they'll just stick around until he gets knocked out. And the next thing you know,
it's the following Sunday.
It's Saturday. The following Saturday. And then on Sunday, Vasek was pumped because he was going to the Wimbledon ball.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah,
so he was
a champion.
Getting fitted for a tux, the whole deal. So he was going to kick it with Djokovic. There's a great picture on Twitter of Sock, Pospisil, and Djokovic together in tuxedos.
I said the other day, it's really, in many ways, unfortunate for Vasek that this happened in the shadow of both Raonic and Bouchard.
Yeah.
In any other year, that achievement would have been the focus of at least our attention.
It's amazing how it works, though, in the end, that the 2014 Wimbledon, for the first time ever, Raonic gets to a Grand Slam semifinal.
Right.
For the first time ever, Bouchard gets to a Grand Slam final. But then the winner, the champion, ends up being Vasek Pospisil in the doubles. It's just
Well, but it's under the radar. Nobody was paying any attention to it.
Sure. And then it happened. But, how many doubles titles has Nestor won over the years?
Bunches.
Right.
Dozens.
And nobody was in his way then. It just didn't. I think there was more attention to the Pospisil win just because of the sheer number of people having their eyeballs on Canadians having their eyeballs on the tournament because of the success of the Canadians.
Sure, I see that too. And I can't pretend to recall the first time Nestor won a Grand Slam doubles. But I'm pretty sure it was a big event.
Right.
It got to the point where we just acknowledged this is one of the best doubles players in the world.
This is just what he does.
This is what he does, and he's capable of winning anytime he plays, almost regardless who he plays with. He is that good.
And the sports notoriety has just continued to gain steam with the success of Raonic and Bouchard. I think if you look at Nestor's best accomplishment, or the most significant, I shouldn't say best, the most significant accomplishment that really gripped Canadians was Sydney 2000 when he and Sébastien Leroux won gold. That was the one that Canadians really kind of gravitated and rallied around just because, you're waving the flag at the Olympics.
The other thing that I thought was interesting from a social perspective, and you were there for this, so correct me if I'm wrong. Raonic plays Federer in the semifinal,
Mm-hmm.
and clearly the crowd is behind Federer.
Yes.
Bouchard gets to the final, and clearly the crowd is behind Bouchard.
100%. 100%. Eugenie Bouchard is perfect for Wimbledon. She is named after a royal princess. Her sister is named after a royal princess. She had a falling out with Laura Robson, a member of Team GB at the Olympics, who won a medal in mixed doubles with Andy Murray. She's on the front page of the English tabloids and the English papers, depending on the paper, for different reasons. Roger Federer was nobody was rooting for Novak Djokovic on the Sunday. Forget the Raonic match.
Yeah.
They wanted to see history. They wanted to see the 32-year-old do it again. They wanted to watch the oldest champion in the Open era happen before their very eyes. 5-2 in the fourth set. Djokovic is, serving for the match at 5-3. They're just hoping for one last glimpse of Federer magic. And that's the cathedral of tennis, and he's done it so many times. That's what they were looking for. That's what they were after.
Yeah. But one Canadian is the underdog, and the other Canadian is the overwhelming favorite.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
Right.
Which of the two, I have a very strong opinion on this, which of Raonic or Bouchard has the bigger upside?
Bouchard is going to win multiple Grand Slams. Bouchard is going to win multiple majors. The upside, it's just so hard to compare. Just the state of men's tennis has never been better, ever. With Federer, with Djokovic, with Nadal. Andy Murray's in that conversation too. I think the stat now is 36 of the last 38 majors have won by the Big Four. Stan Wawrinka and Juan Martín del Potro, the other two. So it's just so much more difficult. The gap between, Bob, say 3 and 8 in the world is so much bigger than 8 and 40. So it's just so much harder to reach the pinnacle of the men's tennis world. Whereas right now with the women, really there's Serena. Kvitova played out of her mind. But on a consistent basis, if Azarenka gets it together, maybe Li Na, who's undergoing a coaching change, the opening is there for Bouchard to win a lot of slams if she stays healthy.
But Raonic, I think the wait will be longer for Raonic because I think Bouchard is she's at the precipice right now. She could win the U.S. Open and it wouldn't be shocking
at all
if she did.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she will. That probably is an extraordinarily high expectation. But if she did, wouldn't be the least bit surprising.
No. There's been a growth. There's been a path.
Right. Raonic, on the other hand, if he can stay healthy and competitive, 2, 3, certainly 4 years from now, Federer presumably will be gone.
Right.
Djokovic will certainly be well past his prime. Nadal has had health issues. It's hard to...
Yeah, I don't know if Djokovic will be past his prime. Djokovic will still be in his mid-20s. Nadal will have fallen apart physically. But I still think Djokovic is the guy who still in 3 or 4 years can still be one of those.
I see a fundamental flaw. I've seen a fundamental flaw in Raunic's game that when he gets to a certain level and a certain kind of competitor, even a great serving performance. His serve against Federer was really good.
Yeah.
He didn't stumble because he served poorly. He just got beaten by a guy because he doesn't have the dexterity and the foot speed to be able to play ground strokes, long rallies with these guys.
I like to measure in tennis kind of improvement in 6-month chunks. I don't know what the math is. Maybe it's a little longer than 6 months. But I go back to the last time I saw Raonic play in person, big time star, was in September. He played Djokovic on the indoor clay at the Davis Cup in Belgrade. Since then, the growth in Raunic's game, his net game has improved, his backhand has improved, his movement has improved. I think what's so hard right now is, pro sports is, Masai Ujiri says it all the time, it's the forecasting business. It's hard to forecast exactly what the final Raonic product is going to be because we've seen consistent growth in a lot of areas of his game. Yeah. He went from being just a guy with a big serve, then just a guy with a big serve and a big forehand, to a guy who's evolved his game. He's refined his game, but there's still a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot that can grow in that game, and we just don't know what the ceiling is.
And look, I could be wrong, but I don't see it that way. I see a guy with a physical limitation. He has...
From what standpoint?
He's very tall. He's quite gangly. He has very long legs and a short body.
I would say
he doesn't move laterally very well.
Well, I would say he was a lot more gangly than he is now. I think he's a little more solid now. And I've been impressed with his court movement, and I just wonder
I think I watch all the other top players in the world. And they all have quick feet.
Sure,
and he doesn't.
But he's not there yet. You know, he's now 6th in the world. We're comparing against guys who are effectively finished products.
I do understand all that. I just don't think, you know, there's a saying in golf, you know, you can't teach touch.
Right.
And I don't think you can teach that. I don't think you can improve it a little bit, but you can't make a guy. You can give him a better forehand, better backhand. That's all technical stuff. You can improve his serve. You can improve his volleying, but you can't improve his ability to go side to side or get to balls and react quickly. That quick foot reaction that allows you to get. Now he has a long reach. He'll get to some balls, but he'll get to balls that he can't do anything with. Whereas a Federer who doesn't have that length has that. He's light on his feet. He moves beautifully. Nadal is a spectacular mover. Djokovic can move.
Let's remember, Bob.
You know,
he's still in this. Hold on.
I get he's still early 20s. A lot of things could happen here. I'm just being cautious.
In January of this year, Stan Wawrinka won a slam.
Yeah, stuff can happen.
Right.
But Stan Wawrinka is not going to be a top 4 player in the world.
Well, he's top 5.
He's not going to be a top 4 player as long as those guys are there.
Well, I
don't see him in that.
I look at a decline with Andy Murray, whose back is just a mess, and I'm just not sure how much longer. Andy Murray.
Well, there's physical. Yeah, right. Like you can't predict physical.
Yeah.
Like Nadal has had a string of
head and shoulders, knees and toes, and back.
Exactly. So, Federer for the most part has been healthy.
And that's the big part of it. Djokovic the same.
Yeah, for the most part, it's been healthy. Where Nadal has not. And now Murray is starting to see some things creep into him. Anyway, look, it's a great conversation to be able to have.
Absolutely.
And I know there will be people who say I'm disrespecting Milos, and I don't mean to. It's not my intent. I couldn't be happier for him. And I'm like everybody else in this country. We're rooting for these people.
It's changed too. I mean, for the perception always was, not to sound like dinosaurs here, but one of the great players of the 70s, Bjorn Borg, one of the great champions ever, 6-time French Open champion, 5 consecutive Wimbledon titles. He retired at the age of 26. Now, in today's game, with with everything they're doing physically and the way they're taking care of their bodies and the rest of it, at the age of 26, you're just kind of settling into your prime. The good news for the Canadians is all 3, Pospisil, Raonic, Bouchard, are all under the age of 25.
Yeah.
This is just getting started.
Well, I'm a little jealous and a little envious. Maybe one day I'll get to Wimbledon too.
Do it.
Jeff Strawberries?
You'll love it. Yeah, you have to, right?
Did you?